Wait, why am I running? New site. Let's go. So what's the overall GDV of the site?
It's about 13.2 million.
Did it feel like you were moving backwards? I guess it must have felt like that, right?
Absolutely, it felt like I was moving backwards. I mean, sometimes I'm scratching my head and I'm just thinking, am I making the right decision? Am I not? Pricing point is around 2.2 million per house. We can try and analyse as much as we possibly can, but you've always got to be aware that there are going to be some unknowns. We've got our first site, which was 5.5 acres. Got planning permission for 152 units there.
Hi guys, welcome to this week's video. So we've done various videos with property developers in the past and got their perspective on property development. So I thought it would be good to switch it up this week and take an inside look at what's involved from an equity partner's perspective. So today we are visiting Sunny Patel, who is the co-founder of Capital 36 and the Foundxrs Club, to get his perspective on property development. Let's go. Hey Sonny.
Hey Paresh, how are you, my man?
I'm good, yeah.
Good having you here. Welcome to the site.
Thank you, yeah.
All right, come on, let me show you around.
It looks amazing, yeah.
Thank you very much.
So this is one of your sites. When I mean your sites, it's one that you're doing in joint venture partnership, right?
Correct. So we've teamed up with another developer called Foundxrs Properties.
Okay.
And so this is something that we're doing in joint venture collaboration with them.
Yeah, amazing.
It's six houses. Obviously, we're in Wimbledon here, we're nestled kind of in between Wimbledon and Rains Park.
Yeah.
So a really nice area. Not a lot of new home stock coming onto the market. So
thanks for having us here. So we've done various videos with other developers, but we've never kind of got the perspective from an equity partner's perspective.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
see, yeah.
Absolutely.
So yeah, it would be good to get an understanding of how you operate,
Sure.
how you fit into the equation.
Yeah.
For example, on this one, how did you meet the developer? Did they approach you?
Yeah, so this, there's always a different way how we kind of get in touch with sites. Sometimes it can be just through a relationship with the developer. This one actually came through a slightly different way. So the contractor behind this particular deal is a firm called Ethos Construction,
Okay.
owned by a very good friend of mine as well. So he actually had alerted me to the site that they'd won the contract for this particular project.
Okay.
And while looking at it, I think the developer at the time they had another scheme as well in Brixton, and they were contemplating possibly selling it. They were in a bit of two minds. So at that stage, I had said, look, why don't you put me in touch with the developer, and let's just have a conversation and see if there's some way that we can try and make this work. So when I met Foundxrs Properties, I liked the guy instantly, and I just felt that there could be some good synergy. And I think that's very important. You've got to, even if the deal looks right, you've got to be able to assess the other person and can you work with that person.
Yeah.
So I think from there, we looked at the deal and we made it work in a way that I think they wanted to still be very much involved, which is what works for us.
Okay.
And then we kind of set out terms on how it could work, and from there on in, we agreed that process. I mean, I'm giving you the short version of it. It did take a lot longer than that, just to kind of agree everything. Yeah. And then we kicked off and we started. So we obviously have our own investors that came in and backed us with this, and here we are.
Before we get into all of that, before we kind of go into some of the properties, take us right back. How did you first get into property? What was your first involvement in property?
Yeah, so probably a more of an unconventional move into property. So I started.
This is what we like to see.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I started my career as a stockbroker, and I always liked property. I had a few buy-to-lets prior to that. Property was something that always interested me. But at the time, I was spending a bit of time out in India, and my father-in-law was a developer, and still is, but he's kind of out in India. And so after spending a bit of time with him, I just felt that that would be a great sector for me to get into. But naturally, I don't know much about, India or kind of, real estate at that level. So I spent a bit of time with him, understood how he does things. And he's been developing for over 35 years. And then I decided to pack up my job and move to India. And in 2006, I set up my own real estate firm, development firm. We got our first site, which was 5.5 acres. Got planning permission for 152 units there, and then literally built that from the ground up. And from there, we went on to another project.
How was that process? I mean, did you have the backing of investors?
I did. So at the time, I put some of my own capital in, but I also got some capital investment from some external investors that decided to back me. And a lot of that was also kind of friends and family, so they took a risk on that. It's funny because it's quite different to how the UK market works. So over here, planning can be quite a cumbersome process. Over there, it's not the planning that's the issue, but it's managing the construction that is an absolute headache, and the bureaucracy that goes around with just operating in India. It's in a way it's like drawing blood out of a stone, but the return
Here
levels
the other way around.
Correct, but the return levels are very, very good. But the sales velocity isn't as strong as what you would have in the UK market. So I learned a lot out there, and I was pretty much in India from kind of 2006 up until like 2018. Decided to make a move back to London.
So you're doing large-scale developments in India.
Yeah.
Things were going well.
Yeah.
So what led you to make a move back home? I know you have 3 daughters.
Yeah, correct. That was obviously one of my main driving points, but also, India's not the easiest place to do business. And I think also from my own perspective, even though, I am Indian, but I'm born and brought up over here. So I am very reliant upon other people to, I can speak fluent Gujarati, I can't read or write it, right? So I'm always reliant upon other people to kind of guide me, gauge me. The legal system there is very, very awkward. And so, we did get involved in a lot of challenges on a particular site, which was very, very difficult, where we had issues with the landowner, there were some partner disputes. To get things settled in India, it's a very, very difficult process, and some of the things you have to go through, I can't even begin to tell you some of the stories where, we're having a dispute with one of the partners, and, his lawyer's not allowing him to kind of settle, and his lawyer wants a payoff, and all that kind of stuff you have to deal with, right? Wow. So it's just a different kettle of fish. And I think there was a point where we were very, very heavily involved. And, there was millions, essentially. And, it was a very, very difficult time in my life where, we had lost a lot of money out there. There was a case of, do I dedicate the next 10, 15 years out here building it back up, or do I want to go back into an environment where I understand the rules and the regulations? It's my hometown. And actually, you can make money, but when you go through a difficult loss, it's you've got to wonder, can I go through that process again? And for me, that was just something where I just felt, I'd rather make less. It may not be a tiger economy, but I can sleep peacefully at night, and I don't have to
reevaluate things, right, in your life, and and you have your daughters as well.
Correct. So ultimately, when I came here, I ended up started looking at schemes where, it may be kind of looking at, is it, house renovations or 2 units, and and I came from doing our largest site in India had over 700 units, so it was a real difference of mentality and shift. And it was, to be fair, at some point it was quite a low point as well, where I was just like, what am I actually doing? And it took a while.
Did it feel like you were moving backwards? I guess it must have felt like that,
Absolutely,
right?
It felt like I was moving backwards. Sometimes I'm scratching my head and I'm just thinking, am I making the right decision? Am I not? Should I go back out there? Should I, but I think, sometimes you have to go through those processes in life. And sometimes it's hard to see, through the woods, but I think giving yourself time and clarity, is very important. And now I'm so glad I did, because, we're moving in the right direction, and the comeback's going to be stronger than the setback, as they say.
Absolutely,
so,
100%.
Yeah. Absolutely. And here we are.
So your business here. you're the co-founder of Capital 36
Yeah.
and Foundxrs Club, right?
Correct.
And it's Capital 36, which is the equity partner on this.
Yeah, correct.
Project.
It's Capital 36, which is the equity partner on this deal. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you start Capital 36?
So really, kind of Capital 36 started around about during COVID. So we're not, we've not been going for a long time. I mean, initially at that same time, pretty much we had set up Foundxrs Club, as well as Capital 36. So
just for the viewers, explain what the Foundxrs Club is. And
sure. So
how that
Foundxrs
ties
Club,
into the
So Foundxrs Club is a private members club for entrepreneurs and founders across various different sectors.
Yeah.
And ultimately,
I'm a member too.
Absolutely, you are, and we're glad to have you on board as a member. So. We kind of grew. We set up during COVID, and we had another media business called Asian Wealth Magazine prior to that. And we just felt that actually there was a really big opportunity to add value, connect our members with each other, connect them with entrepreneurs that are at different stages in their journey. They can learn and really kind of work together as a community to develop, grow, evolve. So that has kind of gone from strength to strength. We're now kind of, I think, almost at 350 members within the club. And so my brother kind of, along with Ruchi and our team over there, we look after that. And then Capital 36 was set up at the same time. And it works, in a strange way, it works really well with the Foundxrs Club.
Yeah.
And the reason why I say that is we are very focused on making strategical investments and joint ventures with the right type of partners. So let's say for yourself, for example, you're a developer, we know what sector you're in. If there is an interesting opportunity, we've got a relationship, we feel comfortable to kind of invest into stuff. So in the same way, we work with a partner when it comes to commercial. If we're looking at planning, we'll work with someone else there. If it comes to social housing. So we've got different partners and different members in our group that are very well equipped with what they do.
Yeah.
And those are the people that we like to generally kind of partner with.
Right.
And also, we've got lots of members in the Foundxrs Club who have excess capital, are looking to get into real estate, but don't want to be kind of involved on a day-to-day
they want
way.
kind of a hands-off.
They want a hands-off approach, but still feel very involved. And I think that's what we do at Capital 36. We ensure that we work with our investors, we show them the opportunity, we keep them up to date throughout the whole process, and see it through from start all the way through to exit.
Okay, good. Shall we look at one of the houses?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me bring you in and show.
Some lights.
Yeah, here we go. So this is one of the houses. This gives you a feel of, it's a 4-stroke 5-bedroom house. Around 2,000. They range from 2,500 to 2,600 square foot.
Okay.
In terms of size. So we've got the study over here as you enter in.
They're all 2,500 square foot?
Yeah, 2,500, 2,600 square foot. So the way how we've designed these houses is we've got, so there's 6 houses in total.
Yeah.
So the total kind of built up area is just a little bit over 15,000 square foot. And we've got slightly different styles in terms of design.
The interior design.
The interior design. So we've gone on a concept from light, warm and play. So, the layout is very, very similar, but just small features like the handles, some of the elements, some of the kitchen designs are slightly different. So it gives a little bit more of a variation. And also when you see the 6 houses, if you like a particular kind of color scheme better, then at least it provides a bit more, a bit more of a focus on which house you may want to go for. So a little bit more scarcity. It's not 6 of the same units.
Yeah. They look great. Yeah. I can see it's quite a high-end spec. I guess due to the area that we're
correct.
We're in.
I think we're this area.
Everyone knows Wimbledon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, look, I'm South London based, and I think looking at there are definitely quite a few. I think everyone always has a particular perception of South London, but there's some lovely areas. Wimbledon being one of them.
Yeah.
We've got one of our other sites in Dulwich as well, so we do like to focus on some of those kind of premium areas in South London. But at this particular pricing point, so pricing point is around 2.2 million per house. It's over 4 floors, so we've got a basement, ground first and then second.
So what's the overall GDV of the site?
It's about 13.2 million as a GDV.
I've got to tell you, funnily enough, we looked at this exact site a long time ago, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and the numbers did look good at the
Yeah.
time, but we just had a lot going on at the time, so we didn't offer on it. But I do remember looking at it,
Yeah.
and thinking that these would be, great houses. And
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, isn't it?
We're here now.
Yeah, we're here, and so I can tell you all about my experience with it. The goods and the bads.
Yeah.
But no, I think when there is a decent site up, I think as developers we're always looking around and trying to find where that opportunity is.
Yeah,
so
100%. As an equity partner, what is your involvement in, like, on a day-to-day basis? Are you heavily involved? Is it hands off? Is it relatively hands off for you?
We rely on our partner who has a lot more kind of capability in terms of the execution on the build. So Foundxrs have done a great job with managing that process. We're also very regularly in touch with the construction firm, Ethos, which, as mentioned, they're members of the Foundxrs Club. He's a good friend as well. So, for our perspective, it's more of a managerial point. So we have regular meetings.
Yeah.
We have, we're looking at from the financial aspect of it, the cost element of it, progress. Meetings and so forth. So when it comes to kind of ground level execution, it's not something that we focus in on, but we kind of look at the overall project and the milestones where it needs to get to.
Okay. I guess your involvement is a bit more to do with the relationships with the actual investors in this, right?
Absolutely. Look, I mean, I think it's a case of just managing all the relationships, because on one side it's managing the relationships with the investors and letting them know exactly what's happening throughout the project. The other thing is managing the relationship with our JV partner, making sure that we're understanding the concerns, where the issues are, if there's any areas that we can help. And in this case, it's obviously also working with the kind of contractor and feeding things back. So really, we are in the business of managing relationships and making sure we get to the desired outcome is our focus.
In terms of a JV partnership with a developer, what do you look for?
So I think, look, there are two things. So we definitely look for experience and their ability to execute. And I think, and what I mean by that is, look, we know some great developers and great property players, and they're really nice people. They may be on their maybe third or fourth project, which is great. But for us, security of our capital is of primary focus. So whereas everyone means well, we want to ensure that, look, when you get into those sticky situations, as we all do in development, you're able to navigate through that, and you understand you have gone through that process before. So we do like to work with people that are experienced, know what they're doing in that particular area. And we often find people have their niches. Some people are great at commercial to resi, some people are great at serviced accommodation, and some people are great at kind of planning. So we like to work with those experts in that particular field. We do some stuff ourselves as well, where we don't JV. Most importantly is the person behind it, because inevitably you're going to have those difficult conversations, and you want to make sure that when that does happen, is this someone that I can have a sensible conversation with? Are we able to get through the bad times together as well? So that's of foremost importance to us to make sure.
And I guess some of these projects could last up to 2 years, some 3, but you're going to have to maintain that relationship all throughout that project. So I guess that's a really key point there. Should we have a look at the rest
absolutely.
of the house?
Let me show you the rest of the property. So
should we go to the kitchen?
Wow. So we had a bathroom as we came in there. Here's our kitchen.
Lovely.
Bosch appliances. We've got a utility area at the back over here as well.
This is really where people spend most of their time, isn't it? In the kitchen, really.
Correct.
As you said, the heart of a house. Is it?
Absolutely. And it's for me. It's like I was saying. It's where I do most of my entertaining, and so I think this is it was very important to have this as a kind of a focal point. We have an outdoor courtyard area. It's still kind of last bits are being finished off, but that will be a nice kind of breakout area as well. where people can, kind of enjoy barbecues and so forth. And we've got that on both sides of the house.
So we're in the basement here, right? But
We're
it
in the basement.
doesn't feel like the basement.
It doesn't. And I think this was, even within the kind of the design element, when we looked at the scheme, we just felt that, basements inherently have their own challenges from a build perspective, and, just making sure that it feels homely and light and airy. And the fact that we have these light wells both at the back and the front, and it's spaced out, gives you that sense of space, and it feels, it doesn't feel like you're in the basement at all, right?
Yeah. I mean, it looks great, but I'm sure there were lots of challenges along the way, right?
Definitely. I think, look, with every site, there's always those difficulties, right? Yeah. I think with this particular site, wasn't, an exception to that. We had a very, it's got its own private entrance. You're coming through, but that obviously causes its own issues because, getting lorries onto the site, off to the site, managing that entry and exit has its own challenges. There is a kind of water causeway on the left-hand side. There are allotments wrapping around, which has been a bonus because as you get to the upper floors, you just see greenery, which is, again, is quite rare for Wimbledon, where you're looking outside of the window and you've just got open greenery. However, that water causeway, when has it rained heavily, has come over, we've had to deal with that, manage that whole process.
And how do you deal with that from the investor's perspective?
We always say to any investor coming into a deal that, look, we can try and analyze as much as we possibly can, but you've always got to be aware that there are going to be some unknowns. It's inevitably going to happen. So I think from the outset, it's about letting people know that, look, be aware about that. But when we do have a problem, problems are going to occur in any stages of life, but what people want to know is what's the solution and how are you going to overcome that? And look, in some cases, there's not always a solution in place and you have to take the bite on the bullet and say, look, we are going to be slightly delayed because of this. But sometimes, you can say, look, there's a workaround solution. We're going to speed this up, or this is how we're going to deal with that. So I think people want to know that, look, where's the plan of what's happened? And so that's where we try and kind of focus.
We've got a problem. What's the plan to solve it?
Correct, absolutely. So, and I think the other thing is it's just about keeping people constantly involved. So we send out quite a detailed report every single month, which comes out with evaluation, surveyor's report, marketing data, construction, cost analysis, where we've made a saving, what's gone up. So people are always in the know. And then over and beyond that, if any of our investors want to have a discussion about it, I'm on the other end of the phone, and we can always have a chat and talk about. So they're always involved through each stage. Even every time I'm on site, I'll send them construction update videos, walkthroughs. Okay. So they feel very much a part of the project. It's not something that you're investing into, and then you're kind of walking away and you're not seeing what's happening. And we do that for all of our sites.
Yeah, I guess it's important for them to understand that their money's safe, and you guys are doing.
Absolutely. When I looked at this area, I thought, okay, how is Capital 36 going to be different from other investment managers? And I think a lot of the time people may make investments into real estate deals, but there's no emotion there. So, and there's no kind of they're making an investment, but they don't really know what's happening behind the scenes. They don't really feel a part of the project. It's more okay, at a particular time I'll get my return and so forth, and that's fine.
But
if that's
this way, the way you guys work, they feel connected.
Absolutely,
we keep them along the journey.
Correct.
From start to end, but at a sort of arm's length, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, we tell them about some of the decisions we're making. We encourage all of them to come down, have a look at the site. I've been to the site a lot, and specifically sometimes for no other reason than just to show my investor around, right? Yeah. And we've been there when there's none of this to show, when it's just like literally just kind of doing foundations and having a look around. But that way, what happens is they understand, because a lot of the guys, they also want to improve their knowledge as well, to say, look, how does this actually work, and what's actually involved. So I think it's a learning experience for them as well, and it keeps them very much embedded into the project. And sometimes we get some really good feedback as well. So we never take on the view that it's we know everything. There has to be a decision maker, which is us. So we decide at the end call of what we feel we should do, and we discuss it with our partners. But it's always good working with a team of investors that understand what the vision is. I'll show you, a few other areas. So obviously we've got the spiral staircase here. We've actually left this particular room, which is kind of empty, vacant at the moment because it could be another kind of lounge breakout. But we're also just contemplating about possibly having like visualizing it as an indoor gym.
Yeah, I was just going to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think initially when we were looking at it, we were like, another kind of sitting here. This is, you've got a front courtyard here as well. Let me take you upstairs. I'll show you the other floors. So I'll show you, we've got 3 bedrooms on the first floor.
They're all like generally really good sized bedrooms as well.
They are, no, they're nice size. We've got kind of fitted wardrobes as well. So we've really looked at how we're going to utilize the space. Ensuite bathrooms as well. So we've kind of worked around, really trying to maximize and working on that element of space and design.
Normally I'll fall back onto the bed on the videos, but I love the brass fixtures and fittings. It works really well on this.
Yeah, I think the colour scheme we worked with an interior designer here who I think is great, and we've she's really come up with some great kind of design ideas and concepts. A bit of a utility area, and then two bedrooms. Again, all with kind of fitted in wardrobes. Nice kind of, large windows, allowing a lot of light to come in.
Yeah, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, it gives it a nice, I think it's, it's a nice kind of warm feel about it. And I think the difference is each house being very slightly different. So, design-wise same, but just slight differences just kind of gives each house that slightly kind of unique element where
that variation,
which I think works quite well. So now up to our top floor. So we've got a master bedroom up here. We've got a walk-in kind of closet area over here, and then we've got the master bathroom up here with its separate shower area there.
Yeah,
separate
very
WC.
nice.
So it's a nice kind of nice feel.
Lovely.
And then you have access to the terrace. So, another thing that we looked at within this particular project is because of its kind of confinement of space, it's the open green area. So part of our research was, even when we entered into this deal, was who's going to buy this home? Is it going to be families? And if so, how does that outdoor garden space look like? But actually, one of the things that we count up was the amenity space. So you obviously have the garden area, but you also have the courtyard in the front, the courtyard in the back, and then you also have this terraced area. So when you actually add that all up, it's quite a significant amount of amenity area that you get on an evening. You've got your own kind of outdoor area here. And it really does kind of give you that privilege. You've quite secluded at the back, and as mentioned, for pretty much as far as the eye can see, it's just allotments. So it's very kind of quiet, peaceful, and you're not really. It's quite difficult to find that in Wimbledon. We're up here, and you can't really hear, much noise, traffic, anything such as that, and
greenery.
Yeah, so I think those are some of the USPs that we liked about the site.
It's a nice sort of enclosed private roof terrace here, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think, living in London, it's one of those things that you kind of, you enjoy because it's just that little bit of seclusion away from the hustle and bustle, so
100%.
So that gives you hopefully a good view of the Willows.
It does.
Hume Lane.
So in terms of the investors, how is the structure set up?
Sure. So essentially we have, for each of our different deals, we have a separate SPV. And then we have a shareholders agreement, which pretty much kind of outlines the decision making. Normally we will always have a lead investor that will be part of that decision making process. So one of the things is we never structure a deal where everything is in our control of Capital 36. It's always done in a way where the investors will have a lead investor that will also be quite involved with us on the decision making.
Okay.
So hopefully that gives you a good idea about how we kind of structure the joint ventures.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, no, it's great. And in terms of like the deal, when you're looking at a deal, what do you actually look for in terms of the numbers?
Sure. So I always say that there are lots of deals out there for private investors, but I always say you would come to work with Capital 36 if you are looking at slightly more aggressive gains. So for us, our benchmark is 20% IRRs plus. And depending on the type of deals that we're doing, we'll always try and shoot north of that. Sometimes it may not be the case, but that's always kind of like our benchmark that we go for. So I think for us is we try not to look for deals that we're in longer than a 24-month period, because I think people like to know that they can get in and get out. Yeah. Size of scheme, I think we look at, projects where I think around the kind of 10 to 20 million pounds from a GDV perspective makes sense. For us, we do a lot of deals that are smaller as well, but sometimes those are more kind of trading deals where we can get into. But fundamentally, our focus is not on quantity of deals, it's more on the quality. So we don't mind holding back and only executing on a few deals in a year, but we're going to make sure that those deals are ones where we feel that there's ample margin in. And sometimes that happens by being able to work with the right partners because they have those opportunities. Yeah. And we try and make it a win-win where, we can come in as a strong equity partner and hopefully that cements the relationship for us to really do more business. So those are the kind of IRR numbers that we look at. And we're very focused on how we protect the downside, really.
Okay. On this particular one, what are you using a lender as well?
We are. So we're using Close Brothers on this deal. So we've had
another shout out for Close Brothers.
Absolutely. I think they're very active in the market, aren't they? So so we have Close Brothers, and they've been very supportive on this deal as well. Yeah. And again, it does vary. Like, sometimes we will go into some deals, normally not a construction project, but if it's a trading deal, sometimes we're just acquiring cash, just for speed and efficiency. Sometimes we may use a bridge. We work with a few bridging partners as well. So it really depends on the type of deal and what that opportunity is. But obviously, leveraging in the right situation can make a lot of sense. So we make sure we focus in on that.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I think you guys have done a good job and you should be proud of yourselves. So in terms of this scheme, I've noticed you've pushed this particular house further along than the others. I'm presuming that's to kind of use this as a show home.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got two different styles. We've got this, which is recently been staged, and we've got another one as it would be when you purchase. Yeah. And then obviously there's a timing factor as well. So we want to make sure that where we come into the market. The product is available for sale now. So while we're just finishing off the last few kind of snagging and bits and pieces in some of the other houses, it allows prospective buyers to walk around and get a sense and a feel for the home.
I think it's really important, especially at this price point, to show a finished product.
Absolutely,
to get the best values.
If I had it my way, we would have actually pushed it back until kind of January to show all of the landscaping, everything done, because I think that also adds on, a strong impact. Yeah. But sometimes, as you know, in projects, you're torn between speed and efficiency of sales, and also, making sure you're putting your best foot forward when you're presenting a product. So sometimes it's a bit of a fine balance.
It's a balancing act.
Absolutely. But I think we're happy at the stage where it's at, where as a prospective buyer, you get a sense of exactly what you're getting into. So hopefully the final product being ready in January, that's when we're going to give it a real strong push. But at the moment, it allows people just to kind of,
get a taste.
Around and get a taste. Yeah.
No, great, cool. Yeah. So one thing I wanted to ask before we leave you to it is your relationship with the developer in this.
Yeah.
How do some of the important decisions get made? Do they have a certain level of autonomy?
Yeah.
When it comes to sort of high value decisions, how does that work?
So we spend quite a bit of time initially to really detail how that relationship is going to go, what decision making, how that decision making is going to flow. And I think for us, we know that the developer, we want them to get on and do what they do best. And I don't want to be there trying to stall or slow that process down.
Yeah.
But we do agree right from the outset to say, look, on this particular decision or a decision that might impact a financial amount of this, then that just needs board approval, and there are certain things that we might be a bit more particular about, but we will try and give that in from the outset. So I think, again, even with a partnership, you can try and cover off as many things as you can.
Yeah.
But for us I don't want to be, I want to be in a partnership where I'm letting you, I know you're an efficient developer. I want you to just do what you do best and allow us to do what we do best,
Yeah, well, they, at the end of the day, they have a vested interest as well. They also want to make profit, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. And I think, look, with a lot of the partners that we do end up JVing with, they're also members of our club, which it allows for everyone to be very holistic, because the developer or the partner that we're working with is a member of the club. Our investors are members of the club. Capital 36. So we're all part of one. So everyone's got their reputation on the line. Everyone wants to do well, and I think that's where we sit in a slightly more unique position, where we're able to, all kind of work together as a team and head in the right direction.
Family.
The tribe working together. So that's always what we try and do from the outset.
Well, Sunny, that was great. Thanks for having us. I mean,
thank you for being here, and thank you for coming down to the site. And it's good. I know we speak a lot about our own deals and projects and so forth. So
it's really good to see what you guys are up to.
Yeah.
Also interesting to hear about your story.
Yeah.
I know you had some low points there.
Yeah.
But what's inspiring for people is how you managed to turn it all around.
Yeah.
And come through the other end. And look where you are now. Look how things are going with both not only Capital 36 but Foundxrs Club as well.
Yeah. And, we're trying. It's we're not there yet, but we're always pushing, and all you can do is kind of have a positive outlook and and keep hustling.
Well, thanks for having us, man.
Thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Sunny.
Thank you.
Well, that's it, guys. That's the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Sunny's story is amazing, inspiring, from low points to high points. If you guys did enjoy the video, please subscribe to the channel and like the video.
Yeah.
I'll see you at the next one.